Welcome to the Dent podcast. It's Daniel Priestley here, and today I'm with Zareen Ahmed, one of our key person of influence clients, someone who we've really enjoyed working with at Dent Global, and someone who I thought had such an inspiring story that I wanted to share it with everyone in the community. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, Zareen.
Oh, thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you. Really pleased to be here.
So you have a pretty amazing business, a world-changing business, incredible products. Tell us a little bit about the business as it is today. Tell us about, where you're at with with this incredible business, Gift Wellness.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about my business. It's around 6 years old. We basically have developed a range of toiletries, starting with sanitary products, and we're now doing plastic-free cleansing bars, so shampoo bars, conditioner, body wash, face wash, hand wash, and so on. And they are a bestseller in some high street retailers like Holland and Barrett. They are growing as a range as well. We're bringing out more and more products. We've won various awards, and yeah, it's a really exciting time right now.
It's an amazing business. So people can imagine, if they think about your business, they can imagine products that are selling in high street retailers, and they're pretty game-changing products. You've got female sanitary products. You've got and these bars that are shampoo and conditioner in a bar, so no plastic at all.
No plastic at all. And for me, the most special thing about the business is that it's a social enterprise, because with the sanitary products, for example, for every pack I sell, I donate sanitary pads to women in crisis. We've donated over 5 million pads so far to women who are homeless, refugees, food banks, schools, and basically anyone who needs them. Women's projects.
And you've donated 5 million. I don't want that to kind of get swept under the rug. That is an incredible achievement. 5 million products that you've been able to donate. This is just an amazing example.
It sounds like a lot, but when you think about the fact that it's half the population, and that right now, while we're speaking, there are 1 million women on the move who are refugees in this world, who have been forced to leave their homes and their normal ways of life with just the clothes on their back, and they have nothing. And the aid agencies and people who are all these wonderful people who give charity to help refugees, for example, they prioritize food and medicine, and they don't think about the fact that that woman and her daughter are going to have periods along the way. What on earth are they supposed to do?
It's such an obvious thing. It blows my mind that even just as recently as yesterday, when the budget came out for the UK budget on the 11th of March, it was only then that they removed the VAT tax off of women's sanitary products, as though they're an optional extra.
Well, it was actually
men's razor blades. Men's razor blades don't have VAT because men apparently absolutely have to shave, but women apparently don't need to have.
Oh my gosh! I didn't even know that. It's actually in the law, in the code, it says that it originally said it was a luxury product. So it was down as a luxury product.
It's just absolutely insane. Yeah. And what you're doing is thinking of something incredibly practical that everyone could get behind and support, because it's such an obvious thing
it's essential.
Every single woman needs. So you've got women in developed countries who buy your products, and then for every product they buy, you're giving products away to women in need. And then on top of that, there's this idea of removing plastic from the whole supply chain. So tell me a bit about the shampoo and conditioning soaps.
This is something that's been I've been thinking about for a long time, and with the pads as well, you know, that it's all in paper packaging. There's a tiny bit of plastic on the bottom layer, which I'm trying to find a solution for. There is a plastic alternative for the bottom layer of the pads, but it was too expensive at the time. But it's becoming cheaper because it's becoming more widespread now. So hopefully with my next manufacturing round, they will go 100% plastic free.
Amazing.
But they are made with natural materials, and they have an extra layer which is made of a mineral called tourmaline, which actually proactively helps women balance their hormones and regulate their cycles and things. But with the cleansing bars, now, it started when I was talking to my sister, and she said, "Look, she has psoriasis. She has a skin condition, and I've been thinking about doing this. And when I was thinking about, how to actually formulate these products, and they're made in Britain, they're made in Dorset, down south, and I said, well, what's the best thing for your psoriasis that works best for you? And she said Epsom salts, which is another mineral that comes from Britain.
Very natural ingredient, yeah.
Very natural, and it's basically magnesium salt, and I said, okay. So that was the first ingredient for all my cleansing bars. So every soap that I've made has Epsom salts in it. Then it has pure essential oils. It has organic ingredients that we can get when they're in season, because that's the whole nature of organic, is that it needs to be in season.
They're incredibly natural products.
Yes, and coconut oil rather than palm oil. So, and they're absolutely beautiful. And my sister, who she uses, we have a bar called the Intimate Bar, which is made with organic apple cider vinegar and Epsom salts, and it's meant for your delicate areas, or if you've got really sensitive skin and delicate skin. And she uses it even to wash her hair with. She said it's absolutely fantastic. So I got someone to design I kind of designed the packaging the same as I did with the sanitary pads as well, because originally I was a graphic designer, Daniel. You don't know this, but it was just like another useful little thing from my youth.
Your mountain of value.
My mountain of value. Yeah.
So just how are people perceiving this idea that they're buying shampoo and soaps and conditioners without packaging?
It requires some education because they don't think that, they think it's going to be fiddly, messy, it's going to dry the hair out, it's not going to work very well, is it going to lather up enough and things like that. And the fact is, it absolutely does, and it's not fiddly, it's not messy. These shampoo bars last even longer than a bottle of shampoo, liquid shampoo. You don't waste anything.
Amazing. And when it runs out. There's no bottle to throw away.
There's nothing to throw away.
So your business is an incredible business. It helps a bathroom to go plastic free. Mm-hmm. You're helping with women's health, and you're also helping with this incredible problem that needs to be solved in the world of women in need who don't have sanitary products. And it's like almost this perfect ecosystem of amazing products and innovation.
I mean, there's another aspect to the soap bars that I'm just introducing now as well, because in the same way that I give products for the sanitary products, I wanted to do more giving back, even though it's good for the planet, so we're giving back in that way. With the soap bars, but I wanted something else as well. And I found a supplier who is it's a family business, a Syrian farming business. So with all and it links with the refugee crisis, they're trying to keep going, and they have olive farms in Syria. and I'm actually
you're creating opportunities.
Yeah.
For
So I'm helping them to
stay.
keep going. Yeah. So I've got a soap on a rope, which is good for hair, body, everything, and that is going to them. So
Creating opportunities locally for these people. I mean, in
Yes.
so many ways, your business, I mean, what drives us at Dent is that we want to see entrepreneurs solving meaningful problems. And it just feels like every touch point of your business, everything in the supply chain, everything in the actual product itself is ultimately working towards solving a meaningful problem. It is an incredible business and ecosystem that you put together.
Thank you.
And you know, you're one of the most inspiring entrepreneurs. And if all I knew about you is the business that you're doing, I would be incredibly inspired by just the business. But I think there's this other dimension to it, which you've only just started to talk about. And there's a part of the story as to how you got into this business. And that's also quite incredible and meaningful as well. Are you comfortable telling a bit about the backstory?
Yeah, of course. I'm very comfortable with it because it is my story. And it's what's made me into what I am. It's shaped me and continues to shape me, and it's my purpose, my core purpose. Basically, before I started this business 7 years ago, a couple of years before that, I had a major tragedy, and my daughter, Halima, was murdered and abducted and murdered. Basically, at that point, I felt I was at the peak of my career. I was the CEO of a national umbrella organisation that was set up after the London bombings. My background was in charity and I'd worked for the NSPCC and for various government departments and done a lot of consultancy and for foreign office work and media work and things like that. And I was appointed to head up this organisation. I'd never worked in a religious sector before or anything like that, but it was because of my Muslim background and because I do have very strong roots. I was born and bred in Britain, but and I'm very English and very British, but yeah. I have very strong family roots in Pakistan, and and I am a Muslim, and my Islamic values are very important. And one of my passions is to create peace and reconciliation wherever I can between communities. So I was headhunted into this position to head up this organisation called the British Muslim Forum, the BMF, and it was to act as a conduit between the government, the media and the Muslim community, that kind of triangle of communication, because things were really tough at the time for the Muslim community, yeah. And so I was the face of that organisation, and helped to. And basically, I was flying around the world and talking about counter-terrorism. And I was only I was still, in my sort of early 30s and very sort of mid 30s, and very sort of young, really. But I had to jump in the deep end. I started my PhD at that time, which was all to do with about the role of Muslim women in Britain as part of this strategy, this whole counter-terrorism strategy of the government, and what impact it had on women and what needs to happen in the community. And it was a live research while I was working. And 2 years into that job, that weekend, I was speaking at the Global Peace and Unity event at the Excel Centre with an audience of, I think it was like 20,000 people or something. There was Bishop Ria of Jerusalem on the stage, and Imran Khan, and Sadiq Khan, who's now the mayor. He was an MP at the time, and people like that, the chief rabbi, and the
a real meeting.
It was all about peace and unity. Peace and unity. And Halima, my daughter, had just turned 19. She'd just got onto her dream course at Nottingham Trent of Third World Development. and international relations, because she was exactly like me. She wanted to do things in the world, and she was really passionate about, she, you know, subscribed to UNICEF, and she was, the minute there was a disaster, she'd be making cakes and doing all this fundraising at school and things like that. And we had a pact, me and Halima, and we were exactly the same. Like, we shared all our clothes, looked the same, we, you know, the same size and everything.
Same passion.
Same passion. And we basically, we had a pact that once she had graduated, that me and her would do some kind of charity together, and some kind of social enterprise, or, you know, we loved like the whole body shop concept and erotics philosophies and things like that, and we'd talk about these things. So the day after we got back from London after this conference, and she was sitting there with her brother, who was 17 at the time, and my husband on the front row cheering me on while I was giving my speech, and she was looking after my stand and stuff. And then the next day she went to uni, I went to school. I went to work, she went to uni, my son went to school, and that was, you know, that night, the night before was the last time I saw Halima, because she was abducted and murdered by a mental health patient on the way to uni, who someone had been stalking her. And ironically, he was a refugee. He'd come from this whole area that I was working in of counterterrorism and all that sort of thing. He was one of the victims of that whole world, the plan. Yeah, so he was from Iraq, and he'd seen his family getting killed. He was suffering from post-traumatic stress, and he basically became sort of obsessed by Halima and started stalking her, and we found all this. We found out afterwards what had happened, and
and I can imagine that at that point life just completely stops, and you probably have no idea how anything's ever going to happen again.
Absolutely, it's a leveler, you know, like everything stopped, and I don't just mean work and everything. Like literally, Daniel, you won't believe this, but everything in the house stopped working. You know, you know, when they talk about energy and all those things, the negative energy or something, like everything from the TV to the hairdryer stopped working.
Literally everything stopped.
And being, you know, I kind of went into work mode and into kind of autopilot, like looking after everybody, my parents, my husband's parents, you know, my son obviously, and my husband and the family, and making sure everybody was okay. Plus, you know, because of the position that I was in, there were delegations coming from, you know, I had letters from Downing Street and ministers and all this sort of thing was going on.
In many ways, just buried yourself in the work.
I just threw myself
I think no one would know how they would respond. Like, it's one of those possible things to know how your psyche would maintain any balance at all, or maintain anything.
But
sorry,
I mean,
continue.
I was going to say that almost immediately after it happened, within even before the funeral, she passed away on Monday, and the funeral was on the Friday. And in between, we decided that we would establish a charity called the Halima Trust, in memory of Halima, and do her work. I mean, I decided that like without question, because that's what I'd promised that I would
planned to do.
Yeah. And so for the next 3 years, I focused on the charity. You know, obviously I couldn't, I wasn't going to carry on in my job.
No.
I couldn't guarantee that I'd be ready for the media and at any given time and things like that. So, yeah.
So you launched the Halima Trust, and did you know what you were going to start with? Did you know what products you would work on, or what you would do, or what the trust would be about? Or did you just begin?
We just started, and because we'd never done international development work before, I'd worked in, the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, and I'd worked on other charity projects in the UK, and I'd fundraised for international work, but I'd never actually done anything internationally in terms of charity work and third world development work, which is what Halima wanted to do.
Also creating products and creating...
Yes.
And when did you come up with this idea that it would be more than just a charity, that you would actually sell products in the high street? And because essentially you're blending the worlds of, the one way to go about it is just to raise funding and to kind of, tell the story and get people to put their hand in their pocket to give. But you actually said, no, we're going to build this into a valuable business at all touch points. And how did that happen?
So that's a really good question. Basically what happened was that we set up the charity, the Halima Trust. We partnered with an organisation on the ground. We put it out to tender to different organisations in third world, who worked in third world countries, including Oxfam and, these sorts of charities as well. And we partnered with a charity who basically wanted to build a school for orphaned and needy girls in Pakistan. They'd got a boys' school there, but they didn't have a girls' school. And it happened to be near where my parents are from as well, in Pakistan. And so for the next 3 years, we were building that school. We were fundraising and building that school and designing the school. We inaugurated the school in April 2011. Mm-hmm. And it was when I was on my way back from inaugurating the school, I was sitting in the airport lounge in Lahore and thinking, okay, we've reached this milestone that, now I think I need to get back to work. I mean, I hadn't earned anything for 3 years, right? And because it was my kind of survival strategy.
Of course.
It was, it's what I needed
to pour yourself
do.
into
my healing, meant to get my head straight and, get kind of to live, really. It was, it was that or nothing, really.
Yep.
And I was sitting in this airport lounge thinking, whatever I do, I am going to start working again, but whatever I do, it needs to link with the charity. It needs to have a charity element to it. So sitting in that lounge, I picked up, I think it was like Time magazine or something, opened it, and it opened onto this article which was about women in refugee camps who have to tear strips off the bottom of their clothes because they don't have sanitary pads, and they have to tear strips off the clothes that they're wearing and fold it up and use it as a sanitary pad, as well as all the other horrific things that
all
they
the
have
other
to
things
suffer.
they're doing.
And Daniel, at that moment, I visualized myself giving pads to those women. Like, it was so palpable, it was so real, that vision of what I saw, that in my head it was like I'd started doing it already,
And it arrived at a perfect moment when you were thinking about what next, and then suddenly that inspiration was right there in front of you.
Right there, And of course, I'd just come back from the school. I'd been with those girls who were also very needy, and it all came together. It was everything at the right time. So I came back to Britain. I started researching and developing my products, and a year and a quarter later, almost a year and a half later, my first container of stock arrived, and the first thing I did was contact one of the charities that was taking a container of aid over to Syria, to the refugee camp, and I got them to come and collect a few pallets and for their container, and after that had shipped and gone, then I started selling my product, and it's just grown from there. And soon after, Holland and Barrett came on board, and I got retailers and wholesalers and distributors. We now have a few distributors in Europe, and it's going from strength to strength. And we continue to do the charity side of it. And I've even actually separated the whole period poverty campaign and set it up as a separate charity as well, so that we can legitimately fundraise for it as well, because the demand is so great.
Yeah.
For this. So
then now you can have the charity that can be independently funded as well, but
yes,
also the products that
right.
help fund that.
Yeah,
it's an incredible structure that you've put together, and an amazing place that it started, and a legacy that it's creating. And then also the new products that you're creating with the plastic-free angle on top of the quality of the products and what the business actually does. So it's possibly one of the most powerful and inspiring and meaningful businesses I've come across.
Thank you.
Where do you see it going? Where do you want it to go?
I mean, it's just got to keep growing. I think the mistake that I made, if you can call it a mistake, it's what I needed to do, was to focus on the charity side of it at the beginning and establish it as a social enterprise, not consciously. In fact, it was only last year that someone said to me, "Oh, are you certified as a social enterprise?" And I said, I didn't know that you could be certified as a social enterprise. I'm just doing it,
Just doing it.
And she works for Social Enterprise UK, and she said, "Oh my gosh, like you are like the best kind of social enterprise, the ideal kind of social enterprise." So we're now registered social enterprise certified and all that, if that means anything. But we've been doing it for 6 years.
If they didn't immediately know. So you want to see a big global business really tackling the problem.
Yes.
Tell me, what are some of the key lessons you've learned from the Key Person of Influence Accelerator? Like, what are some of the things that have helped this journey from Dent?
I mean, I'm learning so much. I've learned so much. I love the fact that you work with social enterprises and businesses that have some meaning, purpose behind it, and that you encourage everyone to connect with one of the UN global goals and so on. But I think the key kind of light bulb moment when I first read your book, because someone actually gave me your book and I took it on holiday, and then I did your scorecard. And while I was sitting on a beach in Turkey, and then came back and then had the strategy meeting with you. So I went through your process perfectly. But as well as learning processes like that, I think the light bulb moment was that the concept of key person of influence, and the fact that people, because I'd been in the background, beavering away, trying to sell, as much as I can, but really focusing more on the charity side of it because it made me feel good, right? And it was part of my healing process and everything. And it just kind of woke me up to the fact that I needed to put myself out there now. It's now time to take the business forward and do it with me leading it at the front. Whereas I'm not, even though those past jobs that I had to do lots of speaking and, it was a kind of a leadership role. But I've never liked the idea of being in front of cameras and, sort of talking about myself and things like that. But the way that what this process has taught me is that it's that whole thing about, that the spotlight isn't on you are the spotlight, shedding light on important issues that the world needs to know about and need to come on board with.
It's incredible, that distinction, because I find myself, it's incredibly uncomfortable to be in the spotlight, but I feel very comfortable shining the spotlight on things that are important. And I feel that about you. You've got such important issues that you want to shed the light onto, and in order to do that at maximum impact, it's you telling the story, and it's you having this incredible background and all of these parts to your story coming together to become that spotlight that can actually mobilize resources and mobilize change in important issues.
Yeah.
And to me, it's incredible to see you really own that space.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is since I've started doing that, and I'm in the middle of writing the book and all that sort of thing as well, but just since I've been doing more speaking, which is what you told me that I had to do, so I've been doing a lot more speaking now, and I'm getting women like on a daily basis, women and men, but mainly women because I'm mainly talking to women. Coming to me and asking me if I can help them to also do the same, to set up a social enterprise. How do you do this? How do you link the charity and the business together? Like, how, about mindset and about thinking globally. And it's that whole micro global business, as you call it, and I'm getting, so that's another...
Building a great support network of people who support your charity as well.
Oh yeah, and the Halima Trust is getting a lot more traffic as well. And we've actually last year in 2019, as well as the school, which has 450 girls in it from preschool all the way up to sixth form. We now have a college next door, because the thing is, the girls they're winning all the awards in Pakistan. They've won the International British Council Schools Award. They're getting top grades, and the orphans get the top grades in the region. And they're all really ambitious. Like, they're so feisty. It's wonderful. They all wanted to go to university, but like, who's going to send them to university? Because if they haven't got parents or families that can afford to send them. And so they needed to go to college first. So we've built them a college next door to the school now, and we've got 250 girls there now, and it's growing, and it's like a state-of-the-art college.
This is an incredible legacy. Very few people have the opportunity to create such a legacy. And your daughter, with her 19 years on the planet, and then her ability to create this impact for literally hundreds of girls. It's one incredible legacy that you've created.
Absolutely. I would love for you to see it, Daniel. You're going to have to go and see it. It's an amazing feeling.
Really
when
excited
you
to
know
see that,
that it's called the Halima School of Excellence and the Halima College. And when you walk in, you can sense Halima. I hear her giggling, and it feels like. And when I look at those girls, in every single one of their faces, I see my daughter.
Incredible. It's an amazing thing that you've been able to achieve in even just in 6-7 years. It's incredible that you've done this. If people are listening, let me ask 2 questions. Number one, what would be 1 or 2 lessons that you'd love to share with people about this experience? What would, about what you've created, and let's start with that, and then I'll ask another question.
I think the main thing that when I'm speaking as well, when women ask me to help them and say, how do you get up from something like that and carry on, never mind go on to do something so huge. And what I would say is that what I've learned is that, like throughout history, whenever something great has happened, it's always been triggered by some major tragedy or a war or some major upheaval in whether it's slavery or whatever you're talking about. But what I'm saying is, and what I want to pass on is, why do we have to wait for that upheaval first? Why not just get up and, change your life now and actually focus?
And if you've had something horrible happen, let it be the catalyst for doing something incredible in the world.
Absolutely.
And here we are in March 2020, and for anyone who's listening to this in a future date, we're actually on the 12th of March, where things are getting pretty disrupted with the coronavirus. And my hope for this disruption, this global crisis that we've got, health crisis and financial crisis, is that this actually is the common cause that brings the world together and heals divisions and gets us all working together towards the United Nations global goals. I feel like there's been such division in the world since 2016 for a number of reasons, and actually we've needed a common cause to bring us all together to face some of the big challenges together. And
amen to that.
Yeah, hopefully this virus is this thing that actually, I mean, it's a tragedy, but it's also potential. It actually has the global potential to bring us all together as a humanity. And then the final question I wanted to ask you is, how can we help, like men and women? You know, there's a lot of women who are obviously going to be excited by your story and inspired by your story, but I think a lot of men are inspired. I'm as manly as they come, and I'm incredibly inspired by what you do.
Thank you.
What can women and men listening and people listening to this do to support you and to push power to what you're doing?
I mean, so there are the obvious things like support the periodpoverty.uk is the website for the Period Poverty campaign to enable us to send more sanitary products to women in crisis. There are the products on giftwellness.co.uk, where, you know, go and buy the products and support them that way. I mean, my vision for the plastic-free soap bars and cleansing bars is that by 2025 it will be frowned upon for people to have bathrooms that are cluttered with plastic, because a truckload of plastic goes into the sea every minute, not every day, not every month, every minute of every day. A whole truckload of plastic enters the sea, and there's not much time for us to address this and correct it, if it is correctable, you know.
And even if it doesn't go into the sea, it goes into landfill.
Absolutely, you know.
Very little actually gets recycled.
Well, and if it doesn't go into landfill, it ends up in a river in Malaysia or somewhere like that. And Malaysia are now, they've just sent back 142 containers to countries that illegally sent them to them. And you know, the worst culprit was France, and in second position it was the UK, believe it or not, which is shameful. So, you know, they sent back 42 containers here, and that's not all of it. It's just the first batch. And you know, it's like, what gives us the right to ride roughshod over these developing countries who actually need our support to develop their economies?
And many of these products, as you've proven, don't actually need plastic in the first place.
Absolutely, they don't need them. So, you know, that's my vision for 2025, is to create a feeling that it's not cool to have loads of plastic in your bathroom and in your house. I'm going to bring out cleaning products as well. So there's going to be a bar for washing clothes and, you know, all plastic-free stuff. And obviously, you know, I want to expand the business. So Dent and yourself, you know, and all your trainers are helping me hugely into thinking about different ways of raising capital and raising investment and bringing more business in. And it's quite different from the other candidates on the course. But, you know, I am getting, you know, so much support and so much wisdom from different directions, and sometimes it's not the same. You know, there are different ideas coming from, you know, different people. You know, one trainer said, you know, go on to Dragon's Den, and another one said, you know, something else. So I am getting lots and lots of feedback. I've just got to, like I said, I've been focusing on the charity aspect more than the business aspect, and now I've got my head around the fact that I need to actually push the business forward in order to keep the charity aspect going.
The two are in an ecosystem together, which is
absolutely.
Well, I am committed to helping and supporting in all the ways that I can, and starting with right this minute, I'm going to get off this podcast and go onto your website and buy myself some products for plastic free and just get straight into. So I'll go to giftwellness.uk.
.co.uk, yeah.
.co.uk,
Mm-hmm.
and just start that process immediately, and hopefully all the listeners will do the same. That's an immediate action step. You can try those products and support an incredible business and an amazing entrepreneur. Thank you so much for being on this podcast and sharing your story.
It's thank you for this gift. There are so many gifts. That's the brand name is Gift, and it's on so many levels. The brand is it speaks for itself. Living it, yes. Yeah,
amazing. Thank you so much, and thanks for inspiring everyone who's listening.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Cheers.
Lovely to speak to you. Cheers. Bye.